I'm Samantha Beard, and thanks for tuning in to Agriculture on Air. A mallard duck harvested by a hunter in Morrow County, Oregon, tested positive for a Eurasian H5 strain of avian influenza. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Animal and Plant Inspection Service warned that the poultry outbreak would reappear in the fall as the birds began to migrate. As of November 18, 2015, the USDA reported that all cases of highly pathogenic avian influenza had been resolved. It has not yet been determined whether the Oregon mallard has a low or high pathogenic virus. The Senate Ag Committee approved Chairman Pat Roberts' GMO labeling bill on Tuesday. Roberts' proposal brings continuity to the marketplace, ensuring that consumers have access to product information they deserve without stigmatizing this safe, proven technology valued by American farmers. The bill, which will go through a markup by the Senate Committee on Agriculture next Thursday, will provide a national framework that places standards in the hands of the U.S. Department of Agriculture and creates a campaign that will educate the public on both the safety of GMOs and on the way in which they can find out more about the foods they purchase. The Tennessee Safari Park in Alamo, Tennessee has become one of West Tennessee's most popular attractions. The park is home to 150 different animal species, 26 of which are on the endangered species list, for a grand total of 800 animals. The park sits on 100 acres with a 3.5-mile gravel road throughout. Customers drive their own vehicle through the park, allowing for an up-close and personal experience with the animals. The park owner, John Conley, says they plan to expand the park next year by adding 100 more acres and 3 more miles of road. The park has had more than 100,000 visitors last year, and they hope to see that number increase with the expansion plans. Elderly people sometimes show signs of dementia, and the same can be true for our pets. Experts at UT's College of Veterinary Medicine say this is especially the case for older dogs who exhibit what's called cognitive dysfunction syndrome. Charles Denny has seen many of these symptoms in his own dog and has more on the warning signs and what you can do to help your pet.
This is our Lhasa Apso Kip, who will soon be 14 years old. He has trouble getting around and his eyesight and hearing gets worse by the day. But we've noticed other signs of decline. Kip seems not to recognize us at times and can be anxious and even aggressive. He shows many symptoms of cognitive dysfunction syndrome, a form of dementia for dogs.
A fairly common thing that we hear is less or abnormal interaction with the family.
Veterinary neurologist Dr. Bill Thomas with UT's College of Veterinary Medicine says dogs like Kip can suffer because of the aging of their brains.
But there are some chemical changes that happen in the brain. Some of that's related to blood vessels, so as you mentioned, it could be a function of not enough blood flow, or some of these chemicals could actually be directly toxic to the brain cells.
We've all heard that equation that 1 year for us is like 7 years for a dog, but it's not quite that simple. Aging in canines depends on breed and size, and smaller dogs tend to live longer. However, like a human, the longer a dog lives, the greater their chance for a mental decline.
Other symptoms here include a change in appetite and sleep patterns, fecal and urinary incontinence, and mostly behaviors like anxiety and confusion.
Phobias pop up a lot, so noise phobia, thunderstorm phobia, alarms, things like that didn't bother them before are now starting to.
Much like the human disease, there's no cure here. But animal behaviorist Dr. Julia Albright says we should keep our animals physically healthy and also engage them mentally.
Having them use their senses, exposing them to novel things. It could be just as simple as a walk. I had a client that the dog wasn't very mobile. They went on a car ride every day, and that really seemed to kind of help get him excited.
Pet owners should consult their veterinarian if their older dog is suffering. We love our animals and want them to enjoy their lives. Just know that dogs can change physically and mentally as they age, and a little compassion on your part is the best thing you can do for them. This is Charles Denny reporting.
The U.S. Supreme Court has decided not to hear an appeal from farm groups that are challenging the lawfulness of the Environmental Protection Agency's plan to reduce non-point source pollution in the Chesapeake Bay watershed. As a result of the decision, the lower court ruling will stand. It upheld the EPA's restrictions on farm and construction runoff and wastewater treatment. Agriculture industry groups fighting the restrictions include the American Farm Bureau Federation, National Corn Growers Association, and the National Pork Producers Council. Although this action relates to the EPA's so-called blueprint for restoring the Chesapeake Bay, it has national implications related to the power and reach of the federal government. A brand of genetically engineered salmon is now safe for sale and consumption by humans. According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, Aqua Advantage salmon is just as safe and nutritious as any non-genetically engineered Atlantic salmon. The Aqua Advantage salmon are grown in controlled environments that will ensure that none of the salmon are introduced into the wild. The possibility of other genetically modified foods will be authorized by the FDA will be market-driven. That's all the time we have for today. I'm Samantha Beard, and this has been Agriculture on Air.